Yeah, my country people, on a day, happy 64th independent to you all. I beg more than listening to President Tinubu's speech review by Dr. Reuben Abati, Rufai and Ayo as they waiting and talk.
All right, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a short version of the speech delivered this morning at 7 a.m. local time to Nigerians on the 64th Independence Day anniversary. Well, Rufai, he touched on a number of things. I don't know, yesterday we had anticipated what his speech would look like or would sound like. I don't know if this is hopeful for Nigerians, or if the details of the speech satisfies a number of concerns expressed by Nigerians in the last few days. Your take on the speech?
At first, congratulations to the hard-suffering Nigerians. Congratulations, because for you to survive in the Nigeria of today, you are the true heroes. So I dove my heart for you. All Nigerians out there, my round of applause for you this morning. Coming to the speech, below par, I will give it. If I'm to score it, I will score it very bad. What did I expect? I expect a lot more. I expect more measures to cushion the effects. A lot of the things that were said are things that when we look at them, you say you have done them, but we have not seen the effect of the economy. So there's a misalignment between what is said and what we see. For instance, he talked about securitization of ways and means. He used the term clearing. He used the term the 7 billion encumbrances cleared. But we all remember that the CBN had to set up some auditors to verify the ones that they were going to clear. And some people said they didn't get theirs as regards those forex encumbrances. Till today, we've not sorted out the forex problem. The talk then was, if we clear the encumbrances, the naira will come down. Today, it's still pegged about 1.6. After using the Dutch auction system, that didn't avail much, the CBN has now gone to paying BDCs, selling to BDCs at 1,590 to be able to cushion the effect of the dollar. So, he was saying, yeah, we are meeting our obligation. I think there was a story around, but maybe it's been disputed, that we couldn't pay some of our bond obligations, or there was a delay in the payment of some of our bond obligations. One of the foreign media agencies ran that story, but I think the DMO disputed that it was just probably a system glitch. He went further and said we are doing a lot about security. No. There's still a big lacuna as regards insecurity in the system. We are still having this hydra-headed monster, these bandits, that we've not been able to tackle. Some gains have been made. I'm not going to dispute that. He talked about agriculture. Yes, it's harvest season, so we are having a reduction in food price. We're having a reduction in inflation in the 2 quarters. But guess what? Core inflation is still on the increase. Okay, today we will know what Dangote has finally resolved with the NNPC. Okay, maybe they're going to start selling to them in the dollar, so we can know the exact price. Then the one that take me back a little bit. You want to set up a national confab for 30 days. What for? It's not just going to be a waste of our resource we don't have. You are hearing the youth speak every day in protest. I'm not going to blame your government for it, but the largest confab of youth in recent time in Nigeria, which was NSAS protest, guess what happened? You people shut them down. It's not your government. I'm going to blame your government for that. That's Buhari's government. The youth protested the other time. You people charge them for treason. That's the largest confab of youth speaking. You don't need a confab and put them under air condition. We start to hear that they shared money here and there and all of that. And to top it up, like it's not enough, you now decided to use this ceremony to give your friends awards, national honors. I think we need to rejig our national honor system in this country. You are giving the Senate president what have they prevailed over? You are giving other what have they prevailed over? So there's just so much of it. We love this country, that's why we talk. But President Tinubu, you need to do more. Meet us halfway. Like Onipeko Breastfeed said today, remove the chokehold on the neck of Nigerians.
All right.
Okay, I listened to President Tinubu this morning, and Arise News provided us with some of the excerpts. Now, what are the things that stand out for me in that speech? They are as follows. One, the president acknowledged the fact that Nigeria is still a work in progress, that we have not yet fulfilled the dreams of the founding fathers of Nigeria, but that we should not relent in working towards that future. In other words, we all have a collective responsibility to get that lofty destination to achieve the potentials of our country. And it was in that regard that he referred to the can-do spirit. That's the phrase in that speech. The can-do spirit of the average Nigerian. Yesterday, I was quoting Senator Godswill Akpabio when he said, look, Nigerians are very resilient people. And this is the same point echoed in the president's Independence Day speech, that Nigerians are very resilient people. And he asks us to be more patient, that we will get to the promised land. Again, the president is saying, look, there is light at the end of the tunnel. The last time I heard that, it was Kestama speaking at the Labour Conference in Liverpool, the United Kingdom. So, essentially, he presented that speech as a message of hope that Nigeria should not descend into despondency. Then in the second part of the speech, he started talking about what his administration has achieved. Well, what has his administration achieved? He said he met Ways and Means deficit of about 30 trillion, and that they've been able to clear all the backlog. He met within the system issues with foreign exchange stability. He says his administration has been able to stabilize the foreign exchange regime in Nigeria. Now, there are persons who may argue with that. He said he met a foreign reserve of 30 billion, that under his watch, the government has been able to increase it to $37 billion. And he says we will continue to meet our obligations and pay our bills. Now, you could see the finance people coming from that angle, the monetary policy people making their own input into the speech. The experts will tell us whether this is actually true or not. On the fiscal policy side, he said his administration is committed and has done a lot, to provide an enabling environment for free enterprise, free exit, free entry. And he cited the example, if I recall him clearly, what the government is doing in the oil and gas industry. ExxonMobil Seplat, which he says is due to get ministerial approval, and how in that particular sector that the government is committed. On agriculture, he talked about collaboration with states like Niger, Jigawa, and a number of other states, and said that the administration is committed to working with these states. On security, he says they've been able to eliminate 300 Boko Haram leaders and bandits, and that they intend to do more so that farmers can return to the farms. Well, can the farmers return to the farms? Is there security, particularly in the Northwest and the Northeast? He talked about the National Relief Fund, about flooding, and how they are going to fix dams in the country. Well, we hope that after that speech today by President Tinubu, we will not come here next year, and they will still say Lagdo Dam. They will still say one dam in one river in Borno State has again been overflooded. So on the other fronts, he talked about also national honors. I thought that was an irrelevant part of that speech. Whoever wrote that speech should not have included that part. Other than mentioning, we will do national honors, please. At the time when Nigerians are very angry, you are telling them you will give some people national honors. You will, of course, we know. But why announce it on October 1? Then, of course, policy as the next stage in that speech. In terms of policy, he talked about the plan to have economic stabilization bills sent to the National Assembly. He talked about National Youth Confab for 30 days, where we are hoping that National Youth Confab is not just an opportunity to talk. Because what is the effect? What will be the outcome? Are the national youths, are they going to make proposals for constitutional amendment? It's on the surface of it an opportunity to just make, people, create a talk shop. The next thing, of course, is that we do not expect that this national confab will be a confab of APC youths. And an attempt to put money in APC youth's pocket for the next election. However, the only positive side of that is that today, Nigerian youths are saying they are going to go out in protest. Fearless in October, they call it. And so the president, very early in the morning, has said, look, we are ready to talk to you. We are ready to engage you, as if our president is imitating President William Ruto of Kenya. Finally, presidential speeches on an occasion like this should be devoted more to lofty ideas. I think in terms of rating, what are the big policy issues coming out of this speech? Where are the quotable quotes? I read that speech, the reading was a bit flat. Okay? So for future purposes, those who write the president's speeches, they should look for something that people can hang on as concrete items. In terms of that content, in terms of that policy orientation, I think this just looks like another routine speech on Independence Day.
All right, so 3 concrete things we can hold, at least from my perspective, which I would like to talk about this morning. Number 1 is the National Youth Conference, because I actually mentioned this yesterday, and I said that one of the things I'd like to hear in the speech today would be that there's some form of forum or a coming together of young people to actually hear and listen to the concerns, especially because the protests in recent times have been largely driven by the youth of Nigeria, which in his speech he acknowledged make up 60% of the population. You cannot be president where the makeup of the citizens of the country are the higher percentage of that do not feel like their voices are being heard. And so this is long overdue. And so I welcome that development. However, we must learn from what has happened in the past. The National Confab in 2014, we saw how much money was spent on that. The selection of delegates to that confab couldn't have been faulted in many regards. However, what happened to the outcome of that confab? What happened to the recommendations from that conference? It almost seemed like money down the drain. There's no point calling for or instituting a national youth conference if at the end of the day, nothing would be done with regards to the recommendations or the agitations expressed by the young people who I believe would be drawn from the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. So it's very important, number 1, the selection of the delegates to that conference to ensure it's a free and fair process and that all aspects of society are represented. And by this, I mean irrespective of your political leanings, irrespective of your tribe, your tongue, irrespective of ability or disability, it's important that we bring every single young person as much as possible represented to that table. And beyond that, to show seriousness in taking forward the recommendations. If not, let's not bother wasting scarce resources here in Nigeria. But in terms of it being a good move, absolutely. I've said it before, and I do believe that the president ought to show good faith, especially as young people have come out a number of times to say that their voices are not being heard and they must end hunger and protest. So this is a good move in that direction. Now, the second thing I'll then say is that the process must be transparent. As much as possible, it shouldn't be about money and jollofing. That's not what they are going there to do. So if we want to be serious, it must be that there are processes in place to ensure that the outcome of this conference is successful and can affect generations of Nigerians to come. The youth of Nigeria must have a voice, and that voice must be seen to be taken forward. Beyond that, I think another point he mentioned that's really important is the 2.5 million jobs that would be created by the Ministry of Labour and Employment. If you think about it, in the last 1 and maybe how many months of his administration, the ministry has been belabored by negotiations with organized labor that we hardly see what is there for the Nigerian workers and plans to create jobs. The unemployment rate has been adjusted in such a way that we cannot even understand the real issue on ground. But let's work with the figures on ground. What they've said is that 2.5 million, which would be aggregated over the years and increase. I thought that's a good move. Yesterday, I said I wanted to hear actual plans as to how to alleviate the sufferings of Nigeria and put money in the pockets of Nigerians. So this is a good move. But of course, as we often say, the taste of the pudding is in the eating, not in the announcements, but in the actualization of these plans that he has brought forward. Beyond that, he also talked about the sustainability bills. Earlier this year, he had announced the ASAP, that's the Sustainability Advancement Program, and talking about that, he said they'll put up economic bills to the House of Assembly to ensure that taxes, so the Joint Tax Committee, the recommendations from that committee, taking it forward and taking it to the legislative, so that it becomes concrete and we have less tax burdens on businesses and individuals. These are some of the concrete things that we hope to hear. So aside from the other things, these are some of the things I'll hold on to, and hopefully when we evaluate the success or the actualization of these announcements, we won't come back to saying the same old story.